Lende kola Gojani Payabore. Lende singete Ketchum Shimichire. Tenda Lende Sena Tenda over the Kala Versena, Gawa Sena, Javid Dawayumure. Magawa Jena, Javid Dumayumure said, Doduna, Dewa to Duma say, Tenzin Yaja, Devare, Mugayate, Dumare. Tita, Mugaya Dumate, Mugawa Latini. Mandu Gaya Devate, Gawalatini war. The Lender said that give you Latini, Deva Yungore, Mugi Latini, Duma Yungore. Tatin density Yapo Hakogore, Ali Hakova Naji, Sozola Tagore. The pay Halema for it, Ketchumur. Finish.
Hello, all my dear friends in Human Spirit, students, faculty, and I'm very happy to connect with you in this way. And I would like to say congratulations that you have completed another semester in the program. And I understand that this past semester has been challenging because you weren't able to be together at our beautiful campus in Lode, but had to do all the sessions online, so I'm sure that was quite challenging and disappointing. And also now that the retreat also has to be held online, so you're not able to be together, so that must be a big disappointment to you. But still, the retreat will go ahead with Venerable Yonten leading you, and I'm sure it will be beneficial for all of you. And so I was thinking that these times that we're going through do present us with quite a few challenges and disappointments. Not being able to do the things we would like to do, maybe having to do things we don't really want to do. But from the point of view of Buddhism, Dharma, it said that problems and difficulties are actually very beneficial for our practice. They give us an opportunity to see our mind when, difficult, disturbing, unpleasant thoughts and feelings come up in our mind. That gives us a chance to see where we're at and how much work we still need to do on ourselves in order to progress further on the path, develop ourselves further, and increase our positive qualities and be of more benefit to others. So I was thinking recently of a story I heard from one of my teachers, Rinpoche. So after, in 1959, the Dalai Lama and many other lamas and Tibetan people fled from Tibet because things were getting very, aggressive, and many lamas and people stayed behind, and the Chinese started putting people into prisons, especially the aristocrats, the wealthy people, the nobles, and also the lamas. And so the soldiers came to his house one day and took him away and put him into prison. So you can imagine how difficult that must have been. He didn't do anything. He hadn't committed any crime, but just because he was a lama, highly respected by the people. They felt he was a threat and needed to be put into prison. So he said when he arrived at the prison, there were many other people there as well, Tibetan people, like aristocrats and so on, and many of them were very upset and crying even to find themselves in this situation. But for himself, he thought, oh, this is exactly what my teacher taught me. His teacher was Pabonka Rinpoche, one of the great lamas of the 20th century. When talking about samsara, cyclic existence, this unenlightened existence that we are in, there's so many different kinds of problems, sufferings we call them. And one of those is going from high to low. We don't have any control over what happens to us. And sometimes we're in a situation where we're kind of in a good situation, high up, but then things change and we find ourselves down in the bottom, in a low situation. So he thought, oh, this is a perfect illustration of that. This is what my teacher told me happens in samsara, so now I'm experiencing it. And he just felt so grateful for his teacher, so grateful for the teachings to have prepared him for this kind of situation. So his mind was able to stay calm, not get so upset, and then he was able to talk to the other people in the prison with him and give them comfort as well. So that's just an example of how the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha, can really help us in difficult situations, to remember, well, this is samsara. We are in samsara, and the nature of samsara is it's imperfect, it's unsatisfying, unpleasant things happen, unwanted things happen, and this happens not just to us, but to everybody else. And, this isn't to make us feel more depressed, but instead to give us energy to do what needs to be done to free ourselves from samsara by working on our minds, developing wisdom, compassion, love, all the other positive qualities, our potential for freeing ourselves from samsara. So when difficult experiences happen, instead of becoming discouraged and depressed, ideally we use those to bolster our practice, to boost our practice, to increase our dedication to practicing. And there's so many other methods that can be used as well to deal with difficulties and problems. I think you've learned many of these. So it's just a question of remembering them and using them. One thing I find helpful is just thinking about people who are in worse situations than I am and counting my blessings. I have food to eat. I have a roof over my head. I have kind people around me. I'm safe. I'm in a beautiful, peaceful place. And many people don't have these things. People who are really in trouble right now, having difficulty just finding food, who are homeless, living on the streets, don't know where their next meal is coming from, don't know what the future holds for them. So realizing there are people with much worse experiences than mine really helps me to see my situation in perspective and be grateful for what I have and have compassion for those less fortunate than myself and really wish to do what I can to help them. So these are ways to turn the mind around from feeling kind of upset, unhappy, depressed, discouraged about unfortunate things that are happening and turn this situation into something constructive, something beneficial for the practice of Dharma. So I hope these words are helpful for you, and I'm sure, Venerable Yonten will also share some very helpful advice in the coming days when you're doing retreat. So I wish you all the very best in this retreat. Have a wonderful time and also a wonderful summer. And I look forward to seeing you probably next year if all goes well. So take care. Much metta. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone. Shalom from Australia. It's lovely to be with you again, even though I can't see you. I wish that I could, and I miss you very much. I wanted to say you're in my heart, and I think of you often. Yonten keeps me up to date with what's happening, and I wanted to wish you a very happy retreat. We were together this time last year, and I have very fond memories of being in Israel, except for the drivers. But other than that, very fond memories. And I hope everything goes well for you with your retreat this time. And I'm sending you lots of love and lots of hugs. Bye for now.
Hi everyone, Tashi and Shalom. Your teacher again, Yonten, asked me to record a message for you. I would like to take the opportunity now to do that, to congratulate you, of course, on your retreat. And although the situation may be new to you, it's slightly difficult to have a retreat via Zoom, but on the other hand, I think it creates the perfect environment, because it's actually when you're in a retreat, it's really effective if you're totally on your own while you're doing the retreat. In other words, there's no one physically present in the room that you do your session in. And a lot of retreatants, like in India, in Tibet, they do live with other retreatants in like a place where they will have their own houses, but they do the actual sessions on their own, because when you're with another person, your energies are dissipated, like you lose concentration. There's just something happening on a level of subtle energies that affects you in a way which you may usually not notice. So if you're totally on your own in your room, it's great. But at the same time, you have the support of the group using Zoom or using the internet in whichever way you do. So I think, yeah, both of those are great. You're on your own, but at the same time you have the group. And then also, of course, it's so important to remember one of the most essential teachings of the Buddha, which is dependent arising, interdependence or dependent arising. And of course, in that context, the law of karma, that whatever we do, whatever thoughts we have, whatever we say, whatever we physically act out, or in whichever way we act physically, it leaves something behind on our mind, leading to experiences in the future. And so that any experience we have right now, of course, is the result of actions we've accumulated in the past. And since these actions were impermanent at the time, they took place and then they went out of existence. So any experience we have right now, of course, doesn't last. It just lasts for a short time. A problem is a problem for one moment when we think there's a problem, and then it's already changing into something else. Likewise, positive things, good stuff that happens, it's there for a moment, we can enjoy it, but it's already changing into something else. So to be aware of that changing and transient nature of all our experiences, but also, of course, to understand that we can form our own future, in that if we're mindful of our body, speech and mind, mindful of avoiding negative actions, of actions motivated by harming someone, wanting to harm someone. So if you avoid those kind of actions, we'll be able to avoid negative experiences, while on the other hand, if we engage in positive actions with the motivation to benefit others and so forth, we'll be able to create future experiences that are very pleasant. So if you're mindful of that in your daily life, you're basically forming a future for yourself that is, well, desirable, and gives you the opportunity, of course, to expand your mind, to develop your mind, and eventually, to utilize your mind to the fullest potential. All right, well, that's all I wanted to say, and I'm so happy, and I really rejoice in your positive karma, of course, and in all the positive potential you create together, and wish you all the best. And one thing I wanted to mention, that actually a retreat that runs really smoothly, well, instinctively we may feel that's the best kind of retreat, but actually it's considered to be really good when a lot of hindrances, a lot of obstacles arise. So even when we studied, our teachers told us in advance, well, if you study this subject, it's good if a lot of obstacles come up. So to be prepared and to rejoice in that, in the fact that there are obstacles, and of course to be able to then deal with them effectively. So likewise, for your retreat, for it to be effective, it's good if there are obstacles. And so therefore I wish you a wonderful retreat with lots of obstacles that you're then able to work through and make this time in that way really effective. All right, all the best to you. Bye-bye and shalom.
I'm really hoping to meet a lot of you, and I really want to encourage you in this time that you get to do some retreat. Even though the days have been shortened by a couple, it's still nice to get a taste, to be able to sit a little bit more quietly with the mind. And what's helpful is when you do get a little taste, if it's shorter, it starts to create some inspiration that you may want to do longer retreat or spend more time in meditation, cultivating perhaps a rich and consistent meditation practice. I just find it enormously helpful, particularly right now when the world is having so many challenges. So I'm so grateful Venerable Yonten is able to lead you in this, has been teaching you, and really to make the most use of this time to limit your distractions if you can, especially with our phones and social media and technology. It's very rare that you get 3 days like this, so it's just a fantastic opportunity to get to know your mind a bit better, to get to know yourself better, and through that process, hopefully countering and subduing some negative tendencies that you may find and enhancing the positive qualities. And I so hope we're able to meet soon, maybe possibly later this year. If not, hopefully, definitely on Zoom. And I wish you all the best.
It's very nice to have this opportunity to speak with you. You're often in my mind, and you're always in my heart. This world is going through a very big transformation. Together, we can help to create a positive future for our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, and so forth. I know that you're all committed to this. As you may or may not know, I'm personally not only active in the Buddhist community, but I'm also involved in the Extinction Rebellion community. And I'm going to read to you the solemn intention statement from Extinction Rebellion, because I find it a very powerful motivation for any activity, and often I read it at the beginning of the day when I'm leading Buddhist retreats. Let's take a moment, this moment, to consider why we are here. Let's remember our love for this beautiful planet that feeds, nourishes, and sustains us. Let's remember our love for the whole of humanity in all corners of the world. Let's recollect our sincere desire to protect all this for ourselves, for all living beings, and for generations to come. As we act today, may we find the courage to bring a sense of peace, love, and appreciation to everyone we encounter, to every word we speak, and to every action we make. We are here for all of us. Thank you. Have a good practice.
Hello, good morning, my dear friends from Israel, from Human Spirit. I just got this message from Venerable Yönten. Actually got it last night, but I only saw it very early this morning because I have to go and do a weekend in Zurich, so I had to get up at around 5 or so. And then that was the first thing I saw. So I was very touched, and I was very inspired by seeing how much she cares about you, that she's asking us to do this message. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to think about you, because then I'm not going, just locked into my self-centered me, who doesn't just want to go on the train, and because I got quite used to stay here. Anyway, what I wanted to say, I can understand that you are sad, because you were looking forward of doing this retreat together. It's still the human mind, as we all know, the human mind has this habit of seeing the disadvantages of things first. But when we look at the advantages, and there can be quite a few advantages, the biggest one of doing it at home, the biggest one, of course, is that you learn to do this alone at home, and you will need more discipline, which then afterwards, once the retreat is finished, seems to be even more rewarding, because it has not been so easy, and you will then maybe in the future be able also to do short retreats just at home in your usual surroundings. Then the other trivial advantages are, of course, you will get the coffee that you like in the morning. If somebody snores at night, then it will be your partner, so you are used to it, so you won't get upset. You will get your food and all this. But of course, it is a challenge. But as Shantideva says, why worry about something that you cannot change? And why worry about something that you change? So I wish you a very, very good and inspiring retreat, by being grateful to have such a good teacher as Venerable Yonten that will be leading you, and to really feel how much she cares about you. And then everything will be easier. Okay, so I better send this, because I have to leave. I wish you all the best. I'm not sure if I'm seeing you this year also, because I don't know if I can come or not come. At the moment, the country is still closed. If it opens, I will come. If it doesn't, I will not come. So it was very nice talking to you this morning. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's fantastic. And a big, big hug, and I wish you all the best. ביי.
שלום לכולם. אני שולח לכם את ההודעה הזאת מאוסטרליה. יונטן ביקשה ממני לשלוח לכם את ההודעה הזאת, והיא סיפרה לי שאתם הולכים למדוד בימים הקרובים על קרמה. אני נמצא עכשיו באוסטרליה, אצלי כמעט חצות ונורא קר עכשיו. אתם בקצה השני של העולם. אתם נמצאים עכשיו בקיץ, בהתחלה אני חושב של גל שני של קורונה. ומפה מרחוק המצב נראה די חמור, חייב להודות. אצלנו המצב טיפה יותר טוב, אבל אני חושב שאנחנו גם מתכוננים מתישהו לגל שני. בחלק מהמקומות באוסטרליה כבר הגיע הגל השני, במתישהו סביר להניח שהוא יגיע גם אלינו. וכשאני חושב על עצמי, על הסביבה שלי, על אלה שסובבים אותי, אלה שסובבים אותי במדינה שאני גר בה, באוסטרליה באופן כללי, אז מה שמאפיין את הימים האלה זה חוסר שליטה עצום. יש לנו לפעמים את מראית העין, כאילו שיש לנו דרך לשלוט במצב, אבל יש כל כך הרבה משתנים במצב הנוכחי גורמים לי לראות את עצמי, לחוות את עצמי בתור מישהו קטן, פעוט, בעולם גדול משתנה ללא שליטה. מה שאני כן יכול לשלוט עליו זה על התודעה שלי, על התחושות שלי. למנוע מהפחד להשתלט עליי, ולפחות לוודא שבסביבה הקרובה אליי אני מתייחס לעצמי ומתייחס לאחרים בחמלה, בדאגה, בסבלנות, ולפחות עבורי זה עובד. עבורי זה עובד במובן הזה שזה מצליח להוריד לי את רמות התסכול ואת הלחץ לרמה שהיא manageable, שאפשר להתמודד איתה. אני מקווה שגם אתם תצליחו למצוא את הכלים ואת הדרכים להתמודד כל אחד ואחת ממכם. קודם כל עם התודעה שלכם, עם הסובבים סביבכם, עם אלה שקרובים ללבכם, עם אנשים בחברה שלנו. אני חושב שאנחנו חיים לפחות בזמן שאנחנו חייבים לתמוך אחד בשני. ואני מתאר לעצמי שהקבוצה שלכם ברוח האדם, ביניכם לבין עצמכם, עם הצוות המנהל, עם יונטן וכו', אתם מנסים ליצור סביבת תמיכה אידיאלית. וזה בעצם מה שאנחנו יכולים לעשות כרגע, לתמוך אחד בשני. אז מאוסטרליה אני שולח לכם ברכות, למרות שאני לא מכיר את רובכם, פגשתי כמה וכמה מכם, אז אנחנו גם קשורים או בצורה אישית או דרך חברים, ואני מקווה שמתישהו בשנה, שנתיים, 3, 4 הקרובות נצליח שוב להיפגש ולהמשיך לעתיד, שהוא בטח לא יהיה כמו העבר או כמו ההווה, הוא יהיה שונה, אבל לעתיד שבו אנחנו נמשיך לתמוך אחד בשני ונמשיך להתפתח. אז בהצלחה בימים הקרובים ובשבועות הקרובים ובחודשים הקרובים, ותשמרו על עצמכם. ביי ביי.
In setting our motivation for retreat, I think it's important to remember that what we're retreating from and what we're retreating to is related to our spiritual path, however we define it. And so we're retreating from the ordinary life conditions that are the usual conditions for our negative states of mind. It's not the fault of those conditions. Those conditions are not conditions for negative states of mind from their own side, and yet we have a strong habit of being stimulated and triggered and reactive to the everyday contents of our life. So we change the format of our life in order to retreat from those negative conditions. And then we retreat to our own inner wisdom and our own positive states of mind, connecting with and deepening our altruistic motivation. And so we retreat in order to come out of retreat. So in order to fully come out of retreat and to fully engage with the world in a way that's the most meaningful, we need to actually withdraw and go further and further inward, at least psychologically during this time. And that's going to give our retreat the greatest opportunity to change the way we're thinking and to change our lives in some way. So I really hope that you can arrange your life conditions in some way that's different than your everyday life, and that you can arrange your inner conditions in a way that is conducive to going deeper and deeper with these ideas. So I thought I'd leave you with a few verses from Wheel of Sharp Weapons. Verse 109. Although all things lack inherent existence, yet just as the face of the moon can be seen in a cup of clear water reflecting its image, the various aspects of cause and effect appear in this relative world as reflections. So please, in this world of appearances only, let's always be sure to do what is of virtue and shun all those acts that would cause us great pain. Verse 112 says, when musicians are playing a beautiful melody, should we examine the sound they are making, we would see that it does not exist by itself. But when we are not making our formal analysis, still there is beautiful tune to be heard, which is merely a label on notes and on players. That's why lovely music can lighten sad hearts. Verse 114. When a vase has been filled by the dripping of water, the first drops themselves did not fill it alone, nor was it made full by the last several drops. It was filled by an interdependent collection of causes and forces that came all together, the water, the pourer, the vase, and such things. And so drop by drop, session by session, we fill our mind with more and more altruistic tendencies, more positive states of mind, more causes for happiness. See you soon. Khensur Rinpoche Geshe Tashi Tsering is a well-loved and highly respected Lama of the Gelug order of Tibetan Buddhism. He is currently based in Brisbane, having recently returned to Australia after nearly 6 years in India, where he was first Vajra Master and then Abbot of Gyume Tantra College, post for which he was chosen by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His title, Khensur Rinpoche, reflects the fact that he has been the abbot of one of the great monasteries. That a teacher of such remarkable wisdom and compassion, who is so committed to benefiting his students and the broader community, resides and teaches in Brisbane is truly amazing. The extent of our great fortune is more evident once one understands something about his life. Khensur Rinpoche was born in Kanzi in eastern Tibet in 1937. At the age of 7, he joined his brother and uncle at a small local monastery called Kangmar, and began the traditional monastic training. At such a young age, he did not know the recitations performed by the assemblies at the monastery, so instead he would sit and make a prayer he had memorized. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I clearly reveal this treasure of happiness and benefit. When he was 17, after completing his preliminary education at Kangmar, he went to Lhasa and was enrolled in Sarah J. Monastic University, where he commenced advanced studies in Buddhist scripture and debate. It was here that Rinpoche decided that studying the Dharma was really the most beneficial thing to do and set his mind on becoming a Geshe. Following the annexation of Tibet by Communist China a few years later, like many others, Rinpoche fled across the Himalayas to India, walking for almost a month with very little to eat or drink. He resettled in a refugee camp at Buxar in northeast India, along with monks from many different monasteries and all lineages of Tibetan Buddhism. The food and living conditions were extremely poor, and hundreds died from disease, but the monks continued their monastic studies as best they could. 10 years later, Sarah J. Monastery was re-established near Mysore in southern India. There, after a further 7 years of study, Rinpoche entered the 7 years of written and oral debate examinations required to achieve his Geshe degree. During this time, he also taught 3 or 4 classes a day in various subjects, including philosophy and monastic discipline. Rinpoche excelled in all his exams and finally, in 1984, was awarded the rank of Harampa Geshe with the highest honors. Rinpoche then entered Gyume Tantric College to train in the tantric texts and rituals. He sat debate examinations on tantric subjects, first at Gyume in 1988 and 89, then at Sarah in 1990, in the presence of the abbots and officials of all 3 great monastic seats, as well as His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Following repeated requests from Lama Zopa Rinpoche made over the years, Khensur Rinpoche finally agreed to come to Australia to teach at Chenrezig Institute on the Sunshine Coast. He arrived in June 1990 with the blessings of His Holiness. He taught regularly for several years at introductory and intermediate levels before establishing an advanced study program, the Buddhist Studies Program, for students interested in understanding the profound teachings in a deeper way. The BSP still continues more than 15 years later. So now it seems that the wishful prayers of the young monks at Kangmar Monastery in eastern Tibet have been realized. Khensur Rinpoche, Geshe Tashi Tsering, has firmly planted the root of Dharma here in Australia where it did not exist before. Through his kindness and great skill in teaching, those wishing to gain clear and unmistaken knowledge of the Buddha's teachings now have the opportunity. Khensur Rinpoche has also recently received the Order of Australia, one of the highest civilian honors possible.